Hey guys, today we're going to talk about word problems with too much information. So this is your math assignment today, one of your math assignments today. And what we're going to do is we're going to use Halloween word problems. And I know that it's not Halloween, but this was the examples that I was able to find that gave you the best examples to help explain this strategy. So what that means is when you're reading word problems, a lot of times they'll put in extra information that you don't need to solve the word problems. And it's almost like, who cares? Why do we even bring that up? But they do that to try and trick you and really make you think about what information you're looking for. So that's why we do different things like underlining the question or circling keywords, and so that way you can focus in on the text to see what it is that you need to know in order to solve. So like I said, they're all Halloween related, and a lot of extra information, and sometimes they also are missing certain things, but we're going to focus on when it has too much information. So what you can do is you can take a marker or a pencil. Probably a pencil will be best for when you're first starting, because if you cross out the wrong information, you may not be able to um, find it when you need it to solve the problem. So what I'm going to do is, again, I always use a marker only because, one, I'm the teacher and I usually can get it correct. Not always, but sometimes I make a mistake and sometimes I have to white things out. But so I'm using a marker, so that way when I hold it up, it's easier for you to see. So this word problem says Harrison got 7 Kit Kats and 6 Hershey bars while he was trick or treating. His sister got 7 more Kit Kats. How many Kit Kats did Harrison and his sister have? So the first thing that I want to do is I want to find out what is the question. And I'm going to use 2 different colors because I'm going to be crossing out some information, which is the extra information, and I'm going to be underlining or circling the question, which tells me the information that I need. So the question says, how many Kit Kats did Harrison and his sister have? So I underlined it with a blue marker. And I know that if it's saying how many Kit Kats did Harrison and his sister have, I know that I'm going to add. So I'm going to write a little plus sign. Now, I'm looking for just Kit Kats. So anything else that is listed, I don't want to know about. I also am looking at Harrison and his sister. So I'm going to look very closely at this word problem and find out what parts are the things that I need and what don't I need. So I need to know about Harrison. So this first sentence I'm going to look at and see if all of it is what is needed. And his sister. So I'm going to underline with blue Harrison, or actually I'm going to put a box around it. Harrison and his sister, because those are the 2 things I'm adding. But now I need to find out what those numbers are. Harrison got 6 Kit Kats. Okay, so the question says, how many Kit Kats did Harrison and his sister have? So far, Harrison got 7 Kit Kats. I need all of that information. And he got 6 Hershey bars. The question is not asking about the Hershey bars. So already I know that that's information that I don't need. So I'm going to take my marker, and you're going to take your pencil, and you're going to cross off and 6 Hershey bars, because that's the extra information. It's too much. Let me go over it a little bit more so that way you can see that I crossed it off. You only have to do it one time with your pencil. So that's too much information. So now we're left with Harrison got 6 or 7 Kit Kats while he was trick or treating. And again, that's not necessary, but it's not too much information. We just don't need to underline that, which again, I want to go back and put a box around Harrison and 7 Kit Kats. And then his sister got 7 more Kit Kats. So 7 more Kit Kats. So I've put a box around the information that I need. So now what I need to know is Harrison's, which was 7. So I'm going to write 7. We figured out that we're adding, plus his sister got 7 more. So I'm going to write plus 7. And 7 plus 7 equals 14. Now, this is an easy numbers for you guys, but the reason that I wanted to, so actually I want to label it. I want to say that it is Kit Kats. So I wrote 7 plus 7 equals 14 Kit Kats. Now, as I was starting to say, these are easy numbers and easy problems for you to solve. But what I want you to focus on, not just solving the addition problem, but I also want you to solve breaking it down, finding out what information you need, and how to solve it. So that's why I wanted to keep it simple, because that's a lot of work to do and to stop and think about. And we do that a lot of times anyway without even thinking. But by doing easier numbers, I thought I would make it easier for you to stop and think about what information you needed. So another one says Blake had trick-or-treated at 8 houses. His sister Addison had gone to double the houses Blake went to. How many houses has Addison trick-or-treated at? Now, this one is a little bit trickier. It says Blake has trick-or-treated at 8 houses. His sister Addison has gone to double the houses that Blake went to. How many houses has Addison trick-or-treated at? So, again, I'm going to underline, and some of these are not going to have extra information. I want to show you both examples so you can see where there's not too much information. You have just the right amount. So, how many houses has Addison trick-or-treated at is our question. And so I'm going to put a box around Addison because that's what we want to find. And it gives us the answer, but it doesn't tell us the number because it says his sister, Addison, had gone to double the houses that Blake went to. So we have to look at Blake's number, which was 8. And doubling means that we add it twice, right? Remember when we had doubles, I can add doubles? That was meaning you added the same number twice. So now what we have to do is take 8 plus 8, and you're going to get 16 houses. Now, again, there was nothing that I was going to cross out because we had to know how many Blake went to in order to find out Addison, because it said that she went to double the amount of houses that Blake went to. So I didn't put a box around Blake, but because it wasn't part of the question. However, we did need Blake's information in order to solve how many Addison had. So that one was one that didn't have too much information. Let's try and find one that does have another example of too much information. And then we will be all done and you can solve the rest. We'll work on the rest for our Zoom meeting today. So let's see. Okay, the witch is making her brew. She has 6 rats and 8 snakes for her brew. Then she gets 7 more rats. How many rats does she have now? So I'm underlining the question. How many rats does she have now? So now, how many does she have now is telling me that I have to add. Sometimes that would be telling you to subtract, but it did not say that any went left. So we don't need to subtract, we need to add. So I'm looking for rats. So I'm going to put a box around everywhere I see rats, because where there's rats, the word rats is going to give me a number that I need to add. Now, the witch is making her brew. That's important information, but it's not part of the question. So the rats are for the brew. So I'm not going to put a box around the brew because it's not part of the question. But you do need to know that that's what the rats are for. So the extra information is inside the brew, it says she has snakes. But the question doesn't ask you about snakes. So we don't really care that she has snakes. So I'm going to cross off and 8 snakes, even though it has a number. And that's why when we worked on word problems throughout the year, I said, don't just look for the numbers. You have to read the information to know which numbers you have to use. And before, we weren't using word problems with too much information, so it was okay. But now it's important that we start to read the whole thing so we know which parts we're looking for. So we have 6 rats and 7 more. So 6 plus 7 equals 13 rats. So again, I added my label, which was rats, so I know what it is, and I don't confuse myself and think I was adding about snakes. And the reason I didn't add that number 1 is because the question was asking about how many rats, not how many animals. So I hope that this helps you to find important information in the word problem and not the extra information. If you need more help, you can come to my office hours between 2 o'clock and 3:30. I will see you all later. Have a great weekend. Bye, guys.